Greetings, one and all. Hello, guys. How are we? So, yes, the last stream before I go to Canada. Yes. So I did a poll on Twitter, and you guys wanted me to just kind of have a general chat about hockey. So, here we are. How's everybody doing today? We all good? We all fine? We all splendid? Super happy? Wonderful? Yes? Good. Well, I mean, you haven't answered me yet, so I won't know for sure, but... yeah, so we're here. I leave on Sunday. It's now Thursday, as most of you probably know. So, yeah, it's getting really close now. Getting really close to me leaving. I hopefully have managed to get, what's it called? 2 videos a week. I believe we'll have a franchise mode on Mondays and a, what's it called? Hockey game history on Saturdays. That's what I'm hoping for. I was going to try and do some whatever happened to's, but I've actually got a essay for uni that I need to write before I leave on Sunday, and I'm really busy this weekend with getting ready and flying. So, yeah, a couple of things have got in the way, to be honest. Yes, I am 1 subscriber, Joe. You're absolutely right. 1 subscriber off 2,000. Like, these last few days, my subscriber count has shot up like crazy. I honestly think that there's some form of, like, botting going on there. But I'd like to see it hit 2k subs. I'll be pretty happy with that. Why are we dropping frames a second here, fellas? What's going on here, then? Right, where's the settings? Where's the settings button? Hello. What's this do? Oh, God, what the hell is this? What the... Hang on a minute. What is going on? Yeah, we're losing frames a sec. No, I don't want that. Here we go. General settings. Is this it? I don't know what's going on, folks. I'm just trying to figure it out as I go along. What the hell? Is it going to go the settings of the bloody webcam again? What the... I'm so confused. You can't see what I'm seeing at the moment, so that's good, in a way. But, yeah, it's going a bit crazy. So, yeah, hockey stuff. Let me know what you want to talk about. We said we'd just kind of have a general hockey chat today. Here we go, this is what I wanted. Why is this streaming at like 18 frames a second? No. Bear with me here, folks. Yeah, we go like that. Hopefully that'll work. I just don't want it taking up all the frames a second, but I would like it to run at 30, you know? Because it was dipping to like 15 there. Do apologise. But yeah, if you guys want me to talk about anything hockey related, let me know. This is kind of a general chat. The one interesting thing I did see is Slava Voinov wants to return to the NHL. Don't know if you guys saw that I did a whatever happened to on that whole subject, and it was very interesting. A domestic assault case going on there that he served jail time, then he came out, then he was basically kicked out of the NHL, rightly so if he was guilty of assault, I've got to be honest. And yeah, he went to SK St. Petersburg for 3 years, and he went and played on their team. Is everything working alright here? Yeah, I think it is. Sorry about that, guys. I've never used this before. This is a different form of string. What's this? Why have I got a thing down here? Click to read unread notification. Oh my god. What the hell is happening here? Oh, I'm so confused with what's going on, ladies and gents. There's a new capture software. It's like a Streamlabs version of OBS. Oh, skip frames detected. Okay, that's nice. Thanks for sharing that with me. Right. So yeah, Slava Voinov wants to return to the NHL, just like his Russian buddy, Mr. Ilya Kovalchuk. Which is Kovalchuk, I think, will return to the NHL. Where he goes, I'm not sure. He's already spoken to the LA Kings, the San Jose Sharks, and he's spoken to Boston. I'm not sure where I could see Ilya Kovalchuk going, actually, but I'll get into that in a minute, I think is what I meant to say. But yeah, so Slava Voinov wanting to return to the NHL. I think he's looking for a no-plea thing to be... I think he's essentially looking for his charge to be wiped because he never put in a plea or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but... yeah, he's wanted to get that sorted out, which, okay, fair enough. If he was guilty, then that kind of sucks. But if he wasn't guilty, then I can understand why he'd want to get that taken off his record and everything. And yeah, then he needs a few more things to sort out with the NHL, because there's no guarantee that they'll actually reinstate him into the league. So I guess we will find out and see what happens. Slava Voinov, of course, would come back with a huge amount of controversy, having, of course, left the league due to domestic violence. So I guess we'll have to find out what happens there. I'm not really expecting him to come back, especially this season. He might have to wait out a season. They might be like, oh, you've got some suspension, or he might be able to come back to the NHL, but then there's a problem there, and he has to do some suspension time or something. I don't know, but yeah, Slava Voinov. So that was something interesting that I saw. I think it was an article on the NHL app, I think, that I saw about that. So that was quite interesting to read. Yeah, Ilya Kovalchuk. I guess I want to pass this question off to you guys. Like, where do you think Ilya Kovalchuk is going to go? There were some rumours. I think one sort of verified Twitter account that's meant to be like a Russian journalist said that he'd come to an agreement with the New York Rangers, which I don't believe whatsoever. He can't have come to an agreement with any team until the 1st of July. That's because he voluntarily retired from the NHL, had his contract completely wiped. From the New Jersey Devils' perspective anyway. I think they're still allowed to pay him, I'm not entirely sure. And he's now going to be an eligible, unrestricted free agent. So it's clear that he didn't want to play with New Jersey last season, instead going to be the league leading in points. Yeah, the league lead in points in the KHL last season. So he can still pot goals. I would expect him to be a 20-30 goal scorer in the NHL. He's 35 years old, I think. And he's still got it. He's still got it at every level he's performed. Whilst I don't agree with the choice to leave that massive contract, I think he's well within his right now. He's kind of served his time. But I don't want him to go to the New York Rangers personally. As a Rangers fan myself, kind of defeats the whole point of this rebuild. I mean, I guess you could say, well, if they sign him to like a 2 or 3 year contract, which I think is what he'll likely be signed to, he won't go for a 1 year because he'll want more than that, and he won't want a 5 year because no teams will sign him to that. I would expect him to go for a 2 or 3 year contract. I guess you could argue quite a lot of the Rangers players would be off their entry level deals at that point. However, I would argue that if you're wanting to use him as a role model, he's not exactly the best example of a role model. An example of a goal scorer, yeah, I can kind of get that. But if you're wanting to be like, oh, let's sign Ilya Kovalchuk, he can teach our players how to play and how to be a good veteran. He's not, because he ditched his previous NHL team, who he made the Stanley Cup finals with, I might add, and managed to completely screw over the New Jersey Devils, which is probably one of the only times I've actually felt sympathy for the New Jersey Devils as a Rangers fan, and buggered off to Russia to play for 4 years? 6 years. Wait, no. He left in 2014, didn't he? So it's 4 years. So I think he's either played 3 or 4 years with St. Petersburg. I can't quite remember. Yeah, so another question that I'd like to ask you guys. I was having a little think about this earlier, and some of you may have seen my tweets earlier. Dynasties. Dynasties is something, or a dynasty is something that gets thrown about a lot in sports and in the world of sports. Excuse me. But, sports dynasties. Of course, we have the Montreal Canadiens winning 1 billion cups. We have the early 80s New York Islanders winning 4 straight cups. We have the Edmonton Oilers with Wayne Gretzky and basically a whole team of Hall of Famers, including Mark Messier, Grant Furr, who else? That other winger. Oh, what's his name? That's going to really annoy me. Yari Curie, that's it. Paul Coffey, and etc., etc. We don't really see many NHL dynasties nowadays. The Golden State Warriors of the NBA, of course, they are very much a dynasty at the moment, or it's being talked about that they're a dynasty. I'd like to pass the question off to you guys. Who do you think, since the salary cap has been introduced, that there has been a dynasty, or what is the closest to a dynasty? I'm going to say the Chicago Blackhawks from 2010 to 2013? 2013. Because they won it in 2015. They won it 9, 13, and 15. No, sorry, 10, 13, and 15. I would argue that is a modern-day salary cap era dynasty. Pittsburgh going back-to-back, I could see where you're coming from, but Only 2 cups, I mean, I don't really see that as a dynasty. I see that as being quite dominant, but it's not a dynasty because they didn't get past the second round this year, for example. Sure, they lost to the Stanley Cup champions, but I wouldn't really class that as a dynasty, personally. But 3 cups in 5 years, I would class as a dynasty, because that's pretty consistent. That's pretty consistent. Actually, that's something I'd like to check. The list of Chicago Blackhawks seasons. Let's have a look at that, shall we? List of Chicago Blackhawks seasons. Because the one thing that I'm interested in is whether... I can't remember how they did in the playoffs. Those 2 years they didn't win the cup in those 5. Because they won 3 and 5. They won 10, 13 and 15. So I'd be interested to see how they did in 11, 12 and 14, essentially. Okay, so my Google's not really wanting to respond at the moment because it's taking up too much processing power. Great. Oh, this is taking up a shit ton of processing power, this thing. Oh, no, we're getting somewhere. Oh, we're getting somewhere. Good. Right, Wikipedia. Let's go. Anybody in the chat? Has the stream, like, buggered up or something? What's your thoughts on Panthers bringing back the young lads? We will get to that in a moment. We will get to that in a moment, Joe. Don't you worry, son. First, I'll just want to take a look at this list of Blackhawks seasons to see what's going on. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, NHL related, do let me know. We are 1 subscriber away, a whole single subscriber away from 2,000. I'd love to hit 2,000 by the end of this stream. So if you know anybody that might be interested, do tell them to get in and have fun. So, the Chicago Blackhawks, they didn't qualify this year. So they won the Stanley Cup in 2015, they won it in 2013, and they won it in 2010. They lost in the first round in the 2011 playoffs and the 2012 playoffs to the Coyotes. But they lost in the conference finals in 2014. So they had a conference finals appearance in 4 of 6 years. That's pretty impressive. I mean, I would argue that the thingamabobs, the Chicago Blackhawks, are a dynasty. I'm interested to know what you guys think, though. Do let me know what you think. What do you think? I don't know, I guess you'll tell me at some point. So yeah, what do I think of the Panthers re-signing Jordan Kelsall, something Hazeldine, and Josh Tetlow? Yeah, I mean, it depends what Chernomaz is doing with these guys. If he's expecting them to kind of play on the roster, great. I mean, it'd be nice to see more Brits out there, provided they're ready to play at the Elite Ice Hockey League level, then brilliant, sure. Get them on board. However, if he's just signed them to kind of play in the minors for another year or whatever, or to be healthy scratches on the lineup, or play like 2 minutes in a game against the Edinburgh Capitals, even though that's not possible anymore, but if it's just to do that, then I'm kind of like, what's the point? Well, no, it's not what's the point, but you didn't need to make such a big deal about it. I'd like to see those guys get playing time to see if they're actually ready. If they're not ready, then don't play them. Like, I get that. But I'd like to see the Panthers actually go, okay, right, we've signed you to these contracts. Let's actually give you a go and see how well you do. Because otherwise, like, just sign them and put them on loan to another team, you know? Like, give them some playing time in the EIHL if they're ready. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because otherwise, there's no point. Hey, a swept Drew Dowdy. Hey, old man Rush, what do you think about the Kings moving forward? Well, they just made a trade for Peter Budaj these last couple of days, didn't they? They sent Peter Budaj to the Lightning as part of the Ben Bishop trade, and they decided to trade again for him. So he's returning back to LA. I believe he's 35 years old now, I think is what it said. Yeah, so that was pretty interesting. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning got Andy Andreoff in exchange. So, yeah, it's just a minor trade, really. I guess the Kings really liked Budaj as the backup for Jonathan Quick, and he had a pretty good run of it when Quick got injured when he was with the Kings. But I don't think that's a bad trade. The problem with the Kings, I would argue, and I'm not the most keyed up on the Kings recently, Drew Doughty becomes a UFA next off-season during the 2019 free agency. If he doesn't sign back with the LA Kings, then the LA Kings are pretty fucked. To put it bluntly, the LA Kings, if they lose Drew Doughty is a Norris candidate, or in the conversation as a Norris candidate, pretty much every single season he plays, because he's got that kind of caliber of play at this moment in his career. So I would definitely say that if they lose him, then you're going to be in trouble. The LA Kings are going to be in trouble. And the other problem I have with the LA Kings roster is they're getting quite old. They're in a situation where they're not a young team anymore. I mean, Kopitar's on the wrong side of 30. Dustin Brown, who had a resurgent season this year, like, he completely defied my expectations of how well he was going to play. He's on the wrong side of 30. Who else have they got on their roster? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of, like, those key names. Jake Muzzin, he's not exactly young. I mean, he's more in the prime of his career, I think. I'm not entirely sure on that, but he's more of a guy that's starting to get that way. Like, most of their players... Jonathan Quick isn't exactly young either. I think that's really interesting. I could see the Kings, especially if they lose Drew Doughty, they will have a lot of problems in the future. I could see them being a very mediocre team moving forwards. I think this year... I think this year is the sort of make or break year for the LA Kings. I don't think they're in a position to compete for a Stanley Cup. I guess it's just, do they want to take the gamble and go, yeah, we'll add some pieces and have one more run with Drew Doughty definitely here? Or do they go, okay, let's try and maybe have a contingency plan here in case Drew Doughty doesn't re-sign with us and we have a few problems. It'll be very interesting to see at the 2018 trade deadline whether Drew Doughty gets traded. I don't think he will be, because I think the Kings will want to re-sign him to the very end. I wouldn't be surprised if conversations begin July 1st this year to see whether he comes back. But yeah, Drew Doughty's a big X factor with that LA Kings team. So it'll be very interesting to see what they're like moving forwards. I hope that answers your question. Kind of went off on a few tangents there. Aiden HD, hey everybody, welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Also, Carlson getting traded. Yes, this is a very, very, very interesting scenario we have here. So, there's been a bit of a situation here. I don't know if you guys know. Erik Karlsson, Swedish defenseman for the Ottawa Senators, very much in the conversation as one of the best defensemen of his generation. He's kind of like the Alexander Ovechkin of defensemen from what the media hype him up to be. I think he's a solid player, don't get me wrong. I think he's in some ways changed the way that defensemen play the game, more offensively minded. Sure, we've had offensive-minded defensemen throughout the years, but he's kind of taken that up to another level. Him and his wife, just to give a bit of context to this whole scenario, they were expecting the birth of their child over this last season. Or, yeah, I think it was they were expecting the birth of their child, but really sadly, the child was stillborn, so the child was never born. It was born, but it was essentially dead when she gave birth, which is horrible, which is something that I would never wish upon anybody. It's, you hear these things all the time, they're awful. Like, you could see the hockey world wanted to cry with them, you know, like they were very public about it happening, and they were very honest with what happened as well, which I very much respect. They didn't owe the media or anybody anything. They wanted to get the news out there just to make sure everybody knew. Now, in comes to the story, Mike Hoffman and his girlfriend. Now, according to what's been going on within the NHL circles, supposedly, allegedly, I don't have any proof to back this up, so I'm not going to say it like gospel, so take whatever you hear with a pinch of salt. Supposedly, allegedly, Mike Hoffman's girlfriend, I don't know her name, I cannot remember it, like I cannot remember Erik Karlsson's wife's name. I believe it's wife, isn't it? Yeah, because they got married last year. Apparently, she has been supposedly trolling or abusing Erik Karlsson's wife on social media. She's been sending a lot of stuff to her, trolling her, saying like, oh, I'm glad that the child's dead and things like that. Like, along those veins, I don't have any exact quotes, but that's essentially what's been happening. And I'll call her Mrs. Karlsson, because I think that's the best way to put it. Mrs. Carlson has essentially gone, right, we're going to court, we're sorting this out, get away from me, you psychopath and you horrible human being, is what I would think she would say. And if it's true, rightly so. So, now, there's a lot of rumours going around. Erik Karlsson had a lot of rumours about being traded before all of this happened, because he's 1 year left on his contract, he hasn't re-signed with the Ottawa Senators yet. Quite frankly, I don't blame him, because they're kind of shit right now. And yeah, it's very much like, oh, Mike Hoffman and Erik Karlsson, like, one of them's got to go. If one of them stays, then the other will definitely want to leave. There's essentially a big, supposedly from what the media's saying, a big rift between Hoffman and Karlsson due to the activities going on behind the scenes with their wives and all of that going on. I don't know how much of it is true. I don't think anybody knows how much of it is true except for those four at this moment in time. But all we know is that the courts have been brought into it. That the Mrs. Karlsson has wanted to bring the courts into this to be like, get this person away from me. So that's essentially where we're at the moment. But now there's now a lot of talk about Erik Karlsson being traded. Now, I don't think Erik Karlsson, even before all of this, I don't think Erik Karlsson was staying in Ottawa. I think, what has he got to do in Ottawa? He's not going to lead them to a Stanley Cup. Like, they can't sell tickets. Nobody wants to go to their games. They have a team that's not really capable of reaching that magnitude. Like, they're not a playoff contender by any stretch of the imagination. No offense, Ottawa fans, but I think you understand where I'm coming from. I'm a Rangers fan. I get it this season, you know. But yeah, I think this whole situation has validated that Erik Karlsson will not be in Ottawa by the end of his contract. If he is, then Mike Hoffman's gone. It's one or the other. It's essentially one or the other. I can very much imagine there being a situation where either Karlsson or Hoffman, or both, go into the GM's office. I can't remember the Senators' GM's name, I've got to be honest. But I can very much imagine them going, look, due to all this stuff that's been happening outside of the game, outside of hockey, to do with our personal lives, we can't coexist in the same team, on the same team. We can't coexist with the same situation. So, you either trade one of us, whichever one is up to you, or both of us. And then that scenario becomes, which one does the GM of the Ottawa Senators prioritise? Mike Hoffman or Erik Karlsson? Now, I think the obvious answer would be Erik Karlsson. Like, I don't think anybody in their right mind would go, I'm going to choose Mike Hoffman over Erik Karlsson. Erik Karlsson, as we've said before, is a generational defenseman according to the media. He's a very solid player. He's definitely one of the best defensemen in the NHL, if not the best defenseman, once he recovers properly and has a season behind his surgery in the NHL. So, in that scenario, if it does become it's either me or him, Karlsson will definitely be staying in Ottawa. I don't think they would, or I guess the two scenarios are Hoffman's traded because they want to keep Karlsson because they're not stupid, or they trade away Erik Karlsson because they know that he's probably going to leave anyway, or there's a good chance of him leaving anyway, and they want to maximise the return that he gets. I think if they trade Mike Hoffman now, he's not really got as much trade value as he did before this story, because now any team that's interested in picking him up has to pick up his baggage. His behind the scenes baggage, you know what I mean? Like he's got to deal with all of this stuff between his girlfriend and everything like that, and all the stuff between all the stuff concerning his relationship with Erik Karlsson. He's now got some off ice controversy attached to him, which most NHL teams, most NHL fans don't want. Nobody wants emotional baggage with a hockey player. Of course, they're human beings, and you need to treat them like human beings, of course you do. But you don't want a controversial player on your team if you can avoid it. If you can get somebody of that caliber that doesn't have any controversy around them, you will go for them instead. You know? You will choose that person instead. And I think this scenario sums that up. Erik Karlsson, you can't really get many players like Erik Karlsson in the league. Maybe Drew Doughty. I mean, maybe that's an option, but still, Erik Karlsson, I think, is on a slightly higher level. But you can get a lot of players like Mike Hoffman. Mike Hoffman, he's a solid player, don't get me wrong. But he's not a once-in-a-generation player. He's not an Erik Karlsson. So, I could very much see one of them's got to go. I think if this is true, if everything that's come out about this happens to be true, one of them's got to go, and it's either going to be Hoffman because they want to keep Carlson, or Carlson because they want to maximize his trade value. That's what I think on that. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. I'm sure we can talk about it later. So that was one topic that took a very long time by the looks of it. I'll talk more about why I'm not going to be here for the next few months in a little while. I just saw one thing as well. Alex, no last name. I'm your 2000th sub. Well, let me take a look. Let me take a look. Have we hit it? Have we hit it? Yes, we have. According to YouTube, it says it right there. I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if it will resonate. Oh, the glare's gone. 2,000 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. We have done it. Thank you very much, Alex, no last name. I do appreciate that, buddy. We did it. I was hoping we could do it before I left for Canada, and we've actually done it. We have hit 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. I set up this channel in March of 2015. I think I put up my first video on the channel in August of 2015. So it's almost been 2 years, and we've hit 2,000 subscribers. That's pretty cool. Thank you very much, guys. And honestly, I really do appreciate that. I was hoping to hit that before I left, and knowing that I've done it before I've left, and then to see my subscriber count massively drop because I'm not here, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. I'll talk about that more later. I want to answer some more of your questions, to be honest. More towards the end of the stream, we'll do all the soppy shit. We'll do all of the, oh, I'm leaving because of this. Next thing we need a sponsor, ladies and gentlemen. We need one more sponsor to unlock custom emojis. I want to unlock this. I've been trying to unlock this for months now, fellas. We need one more sponsor. We've got one sponsor, good old Chris Gadders. Most of you might know him from the channel. But we need one more, so let's get it going. Got a lovely cream soda here with some ice. I really need that if I'm going to sit here and talk about hockey. Right, Joe Kelly. I tried to be like Joe Kelly. Ooh. Anyway, I should never do that again, should I? Do you think O'Connor will resign with the Steelers or move on to pastures new? Yes, this is a very, very interesting scenario. So, Ben O'Connor, former Sheffield Steelers defenseman, potentially continued Sheffield Steelers defenseman. Of course, we need to see what's going on. But Ben O'Connor signed with Arse Astana of the Continental Hockey League, the Kazakh team in the KHL, who used to be the home of Kazakh dual nationalist Nigel Dawes, who is one of the best KHL goal scorers in the league at the moment. Just in case you guys weren't aware, he was a draft pick of the New York Rangers. Didn't really work out, went to the KHL, scores like 30 goals a season. So, Nigel Dawes, it was his team. He's now left. He's gone somewhere else, can't remember where he's gone. Avtomobilist, maybe? But anyway, I don't know, that's not really relevant. But Ben O'Connor, he did play a couple of years ago in Kazakhstan for a year or two, and he was talking to some of his old Kazakhstan teammates during the Division 1A World Championships, which Team GB won. Woohoo! And, yeah, he signed a contract with Arse Astana of the Continental Hockey League to become the first British player ever to play in the Continental Hockey League. However, there was a bit of a problem with that, because Arse Astana decided to get a new GM, a new ownership, decided to completely mix things up, and the new GM went, Ben O'Connor, we don't really want you on our roster. Bye! So, Ben O'Connor, his contract was terminated by Arse Astana, like 3 weeks after he signed it. He was given financial compensation, which was nice of them. But, yeah, he's essentially a free agent once again. There's a lot of talk whether he comes back to Sheffield. I think the Steelers are interested in having him back if he wants to go back. But I have heard some rumours that the Nottingham Panthers are interested in pursuing him. I think Rick Shanomaz might be interested in picking up O'Connor. I wouldn't be surprised. He's one of the best British defensemen. I would argue, especially by the end of his career, one of the best British defensemen to have ever played the game. I would argue. That's just me. Do I think he goes to Sheffield? I think if he wants to... It depends if he wants a challenge or not. It depends if he wants to go somewhere different. If he wants more of the status quo, and he wants to keep his family, I'm not sure if he has a wife or kids, I'm not really entirely sure about that. But if he wants to sort of stick with what's worked for him, then yes. If he's thinking, shit, the the KHL contract didn't work. Let's spend another year here and maybe try again next year. Then he might go to Sheffield. If he wants to essentially stab all the Steelers fans in the back and go and sign with Nottingham, first of all, I wouldn't complain. And second of all, he might do that. That might be an option for him. There's a space for him on the Panthers lineup at the moment. Or does he go somewhere else? I imagine if it's not the NHL and it's not the KHL, it's the Elite Ice Hockey League. I don't see Ben O'Connor playing in a worse league. I don't see him going to the DEL. He might go to the Swedish Hockey League if they want him. I think he either goes to a better league than the Elite Ice Hockey League or he doesn't go anywhere. I don't see him going to the DEL because I don't think the DEL's that much better than us. I think they're better, but not better wholly to want to go, yeah, I'm going to root up and move to Germany. Yeah, I don't think that Ben O'Connor's going anywhere. Unless he signs in the KHL again. If he signs with a team in the KHL, then he'll go to the KHL, which I don't think is going to happen. It might be one of these, like, right before the start of the season, a team thinks, yeah, we'll pick him up, why not? But Ben O'Connor might not like that uncertainty of where he's going. I definitely see him either signing with Nottingham or Sheffield. I don't see him signing with any other teams in the EIHL. My money's on Sheffield if he wants to come back to the EIHL. If not, I will see him going to a better league in Europe because I think he's that calibre of player. He's proven himself in the Elite Ice Hockey League. He's won trophies here. He's been a consistent player since he's joined the league. Like I would see him. I think it makes sense for him to find better competition, and that's why he signed with the KHL. So, fair play. Hey, Andy, you right, mate? What's up, buddy? Right, well, that's another question. Do you think it's time for the Blues to trade Jake Allen? Hello, Dreams Gaming. Sorry, I didn't say hi to you. I did see that you were there, but forgot to say hi. I've just kind of been talking about hockey. I mean, I can't really complain. So, do you think it's time for the Blues to trade Jake Allen? The question is, for who? Jake Allen, the problem with Jake Allen, like many NHL players, and why they're considered good and not great, is when he's playing well, he's playing really well. When he's not playing well, he's playing really bad. Like, there's no most players in the NHL are consistently good for a little while, then consistently forgettable for the rest of the time. And that's why they're considered decent NHL players, or middle-of-the-road NHL players, or mediocre NHL players, and that's why they're not the superstars. The superstars of the NHL, of course, are good on a consistent basis. Jake Allen is not one of those players. Jake Allen is not a player that's consistently good. I guess the question is, Dreams Gaming, can the St. Louis Blues win a Stanley Cup with Jake Allen? My answer, or my opinion, no. He's not a good enough goaltender. If you look at all of the Stanley Cups that have been won recently, this year, Ovi getting his cup was beautiful. Loved that moment. Braden Holtby, former Vezina Trophy winner. The year before, Matt Murray. He's won the cup back-to-back, and he had a solid defensive core in front of him. You might argue St. Louis's defensive core is good, but Matt Murray, okay, maybe doesn't fit into the category. So that's up to, what, 18, 17, 16. 2015. Who won the cup in 2015? Oh, the Chicago Blackhawks. Thingamabob. Hang on a minute. Oh, for a minute it just said my tablet had signed out of YouTube. Oh, I think we've got another sub as well. Thank you very much, guys, helping me get 2001 subscribers. I'm really happy with this, guys. Thank you so much. I'll talk about that more later. But yeah, so you've had Braden Holtby, former Vezina Trophy winner. Matt Murray, the couple before. Corey Crawford, who's won it 3 times. And Jonathan Quick, who's won it twice in that time. Like, all of them are high-caliber goalies. Corey Crawford, you might argue against, but they had some solid defense in Brent Seabrook and Nick Leddy for a couple of those championships, and Nicholas Jolmerson, and things like that. So, I just don't see Jake Allen being a Stanley Cup winning goalie. And I guess it depends, what do the St. Louis Blues want to achieve this season? Do they want to compete for the Stanley Cup? Or do they want to take Duncan Keith, that's it. Or do the St. Louis Blues want to kind of go, okay, let's make sure we have everything in place before we take another run at the Cup. Not necessarily a rebuild, but a reload or a retool. So I guess that's a question for you as well, Dreams Gaming. do you think that Jake Allen is capable of winning a Stanley Cup with St. Louis? Do you think he's the caliber of goaltender that could play well enough, not necessarily outstanding, but well enough to give his team a chance to win a cup? If the answer's no, then I think the St. Louis Blues should trade him. Where to and who for? I don't know. There's not really many good free agent goaltenders this year, so they'd have to acquire a goalie in a trade. The best two goalies in this free agency this year are Yaroslav Halak and Carter Hutton. Carter Hutton was the backup on the St. Louis Blues this year. So if you trade him away for not a goaltender, the best you're getting back is the backup that you had this year. I mean, people are kind of hoping that he's going to be the next Tim Thomas in the league, which, I mean, if he was that, then he would give the St. Louis Blues a chance to win if he re-signs with the Blues. But I don't see that happening. I mean, that's a very slim chance of that actually taking place, personally. So, yeah, I think the St. Louis Blues, if they're wanting to compete for a cup, they trade away Jake Allen. Where to and who for, I have no idea. Because if they want to go free agency route, they have Cam Ward. He's looking to prove himself again as an NHL goaltender after having his best year as his rookie season. Since then, it's been downhill, ladies and gents. Kind of like the Carolina Hurricanes in general, really, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Okay, so, Andy T, good question. Where will John Carlson end up? It's a very good question. John Carlson, of course, he led the NHL in points for defensemen this year, so chances are he will nab himself a Norris Trophy, because the Norris Trophy is for the defenseman with the most points, let's be honest. It's the defenseman's Rocket Richard. No, defenseman's Hart Trophy. Rocket Richard has most goals. I see him going back to Washington. I think there would have been a lot more question marks if Washington hadn't have won the Cup this year. But because they won the Stanley Cup, I 100% see John Carlson going to stay at the Washington Capitals. Like, he's with the Capitals. They finally shook the bug off their back. They know how to win now. They've won a Stanley Cup. So the question is, does he want to stay with a team that he knows he has a chance to win another cup with? Or does he try and ply his trade somewhere else because he thinks he has a better chance of winning a cup? I guess the question is, what does John Carlson want more? Term, money, or championships? Because term, he stays with Washington because they can sign him to an 8-year contract. Other teams can only sign him to a 7-year contract. Money, that might take him to another team. I mean, they can give him the contract that he wants if potentially they move a few more pieces around. Essentially, if the Washington Capitals want to keep John Carlson and sign him to the money that he deserves, they're going to have to pull a Stan Bowman and find lots of diamonds in the rough, really. So I guess it's whether the management of the Washington Capitals can get that done. He should be able to double his $3 million. I think he'll more than double his $3 million. With the salary cap going up roughly $5 million this year, I would fully expect John Carlson to sign for $8 million. You heard it here first. I would see him. PK Subban, who's a former Norris Trophy winner, signed for $9 million. John Carlson, he became the legitimate first defenseman, the best defenseman on the Washington Capitals lineup this year. I see him signing for at least $8 million. $7 to $8 million is what John Carlson is going to get for 7 or 8 years. If it's not the Washington Capitals, then it's another team. I could see Toronto being in that chase for sure. If he's not signed before free agency, Toronto need a decent right-handed shot defenseman, and John Carlson is a decent right-handed shot defenseman. They don't have the money to be able to... They might not be able to have the money to go for him in the long term because they've got to get Nylander, Matthews, Marner, Travis Dermott, and maybe Timothy Liljegren if he pans out, okay? But, yeah, I see him staying in Washington. I think it makes the most sense. Maybe not from a cap perspective, but from a perspective of him going, am I prioritising money or term over championships or vice versa? I think he could get everything that he wants in Washington. Then it would be on the onus of the Washington GM to go, okay, how are we going to fit this team next season? Might have to do the Chicago Blackhawks of going, okay, let's find lots of diamond in the rough players. For example, Devontae Smith-Pelly. He scored more goals in the playoffs this year than he did in the regular season. he might be wanting a bigger contract. So that's another problem. But they need to find more Devontae Smith-Pellies, you know? Kind of take a drink after every topic. Andy, I did cover that topic a little while ago. I think just before you tuned on. So, or tuned in. Tuned on? Doesn't really work, does it? So, once the stream's finished, go back and take a look at it. It's kind of at like the half an hour mark, 20-minute mark. Guys, so, is anybody here able to become a sponsor on the channel? We need one more to get custom emojis. And I think that's what we need. And I've also realised with Streamlabs, you can set up a merch store. So I might actually look into that if anybody's interested. Is anybody interested in Odd Man Rush merch? I haven't really like looked into it because I think my channel's too small for it. And it's just going to be like essentially, oh, you can get a t-shirt with the logo on it or a mug with the logo on it. I mean, if you guys are interested in it, I'll look to set it up. Like, I'm not going to be like, no, you can't have it, you disgraceful people. But I've just kind of assumed that there's not really an interest for it yet. So, let me know if Odd Man Rush merch is something you want. I'm not going to be like Jake Paul and like, I do like diss tracks and raps every single week. And basically the entire words are, buy my merch. I'm not really that manipulative with my marketing. I'll just be like, get it if you want, or don't. Which is essentially my viewpoint on a lot of things, to be fair. How about the Ryan O'Reilly situation in Buffalo? Yes, this is an interesting one. So there's been a lot of talk about Ryan O'Reilly potentially being traded before next season. I could see it happening. I could see it happening. I guess that, yeah, I mean, Ryan O'Reilly, they've got Jack Eichel and Ryan O'Reilly. They're the top 6 centres for that team, essentially. The only problem I see with Ryan O'Reilly is he's a solid player, but he's not incredible. If you know what I mean, like he's not a team leader in points kind of player. I mean, he wasn't last year, but in fairness, that team was shocking. Or if he was, he might have been, but I assume that Jack Eichel was. I might be wrong there. They've got guys like Casey Middlestat coming up and things like that. They've got a lot of young players on that team. Ryan O'Reilly's kind of in the prime of his career at this moment. I guess it's whether Ryan O'Reilly wants to stay in Buffalo or whether he wants to chase a championship. Because the Buffalo Sabres are getting Rasmus Dahlin, unless they decide to make an absolutely boneheaded move and go, no, we don't want Rasmus Dahlin. We want, like, what's his name, Philip Zadina. In which case, one, you're an idiot, Buffalo, for taking Zadina over Dahlin. Zadina's going to be a great player. He's not going to be Dahlin, though, who's getting comparisons to Erik Karlsson. So, yeah, like, he's getting those comparisons. So, they might not pan out that way. He might end up a completely different player, but he's being considered a solid player. I guess the question is, what would you get back for Ryan O'Reilly? I think is my question. Who do you send him to? Why? And what do you get back? I guess that's the question I want to ask you, Andy. Who do you think would want Ryan O'Reilly? Why do you think they want Ryan O'Reilly? And what do you think that team would give up for Ryan O'Reilly? Because I guess with O'Reilly, if the price is right, Buffalo will trade him. I mean, if the price is right, I guess that's with most players. If the price is right, they'll trade them, because if a team's gonna completely overpay for a player, Boston with Rick Nash. if a team's gonna massively overpay, then most teams will take it. You know, like they're not gonna go, oh no, because we're not sure we want to give up that player. If you're getting like 2 first-round picks and a legitimate prospect, you're gonna go, yeah, take him. He's all yours. Buffalo aren't supposed to compete for the next few years anyway. Well, they're trying to. Dahlin might change that. They might be a playoff contender, but they're not going to be a Stanley Cup championship contender by any means. So, if they want to get rid of O'Reilly, I guess it would make sense. I mean, I guess it frees up cap space for Jack Eichel's contract when it kicks in. Limits some of the damage of that. So, I don't know. What do you think? Ah, this is nice. Get back Elias Lindholm. Yeah, but the question is, well, they don't really have many decent wingers there in Buffalo, do they? They've got some solid defensive prospects coming up, and they've got some decent centres, but their wing combination isn't groundbreaking. Any other questions, ladies and gents, to take place here? While I wait for some more questions, I guess we can talk about what's happening. So, today is my last stream for a very long time. Well, not a very long time, but a large amount of time. I think that's fair. I'm going to Canada. I'm going to be a drama/acting counsellor at a summer camp out in Canada over the summer. And yeah, I'm going out on Sunday. I fly on the 17th of June. And I'm going to Montreal. So hopefully, I'm hoping to go around the Bell Centre at some point and do some recording. And once I get back, release a vlog or something. Something like that. I don't know. I'll find out. And yeah, so essentially, I'm not going to be here for 2.5 months. My channel is going to be very quiet for 2.5 months. Don't really have the chance to check my Wi-Fi and stuff much when I'm out there. So if I don't respond to stuff immediately, that's why. If you don't hear from me for a while, I haven't died, I promise. If I do die, I will find a way to let you guys know. But essentially, I've got it so that I will upload 2 videos a week. I feel like I need to burp now. There you go. Yeah, I've got a franchise mode. I've essentially got it set up that every week that I'm gone, there will be a franchise mode episode and a hockey game history episode every week. Hey, Jeff, thank you very much for subbing, friend. Appreciate it.
All right.
My name is Jeff. All right. Friend.
All right.
Oh, friend. So, yeah. I will not be here for 2.5 months. Sharks Don't Start Die. Hello, mate. Hello. Yeah. I'm losing my thread of conversation. Guys, stop talking to me. No, yeah. Let's start it again. Let's recap. Should we have a recap? After today, I will be talking on the social medias until at least Sunday. Then I'm not going to be here for a very long time. There's going to be 2 videos out every week. It's probably going to be every Monday and every Saturday. Monday for franchise mode, Saturdays for hockey game history. Yeah, I get back on the 1st of September, and once I get back, I don't really have anything to do, because I finished my degree. I've got an essay to hand in before I go, hoping to hand that in by tomorrow. And then I'm essentially done with my degree. I will graduate in October, so I'll be back for that. But essentially, once I get back, I don't really have anything to do at this moment in time. So, dependent on what happens, you should expect a lot more videos. I'll basically come back and resume as we were, doing a lot of stuff. So, yeah. I apologise for not being here for 2.5 months, but I've been planning this since October last year, so I can't really say no now, and I've put a lot of money into it, so I'm going. But yeah, no, thank you so much, guys, for helping me reach 2,000 subscribers before I leave. This August, it'll be 2 years since I started this hockey channel, and to think that a British YouTuber, or a British hockey YouTuber, where ice hockey isn't it's a thing in Britain, and it's a growing thing in Britain, but it's not exactly a huge thing in Britain yet, or if it will be, or if it ever is. So the fact that this channel has managed to reach that number, I'm quite impressed. Like, I always look and go, oh yeah, but I don't have like 100,000 subscribers, but I also think I have more than I did yesterday, and I have more than I did the day before, and I have more than I did the day before that. So, the fact that I'm sitting here saying I'm a British hockey YouTuber, where the sport isn't that big in this country, and I have over 2,000 subscribers and almost 500,000 views, I'm so proud of what this channel has done, and I've got to thank everybody that's subscribed, everybody that's watched. Like, I couldn't have done it without you. Like, I can make the content as much as I want, but if you guys don't watch it, then it's kind of a one-way thing. But I seem to be finding some series that work well on the channel. Like, you guys seem to like the Whatever Happened 2s, even though they take like 2 days to edit. You guys seem to like the hockey game histories. I looked recently, and the NHL 2K10 one has almost 10,000 views, or like 5,000 views. So I'm like, I don't know where that came from, but thanks. each of them manages to get a decent amount of views. Don't worry, when I come back, I will be doing a shit ton of NHL 19 stuff, provided the game is good. And yeah, I'll do a lot of stuff in that, so hopefully that'll bring in more of an audience. But yeah, like, thank you so much, guys. 2,000 subscribers. I'm actually at the point on this channel where I'm earning a decent bit of money. I'm not earning... It's not like I can do this as a full-time job, which I've never really expected that to be a situation. I'm not expecting that to ever happen. I'm in the situation where I can make videos and I can earn a bit of pocket money that I can spend on making the channel better, or making the quality of the videos or the content better, or getting stuff to record for videos and things like that. So that's really cool. I'm really happy with that. Oh, Zia, thank you very much for the sub, friend. Appreciate it. Oh, friend. But yeah. Yeah, I guess just thank you is the best way to put it. I couldn't have done this without you folks. I hope you guys stick around, even while I'm gone. There will be videos going up, so I'm not completely ditching you, I promise. But yeah, thanks, guys. It's great. Right, so let's move on to some more questions. Will you do podcasts when you're back? That's the plan. Chris and I are planning to properly start the Icing on the Skate podcast when the new season begins. We're hoping to focus it on primarily the Elite Ice Hockey League and the NHL other than that. Basically just trying to look at topics from around the hockey world, but primarily the Elite Ice Hockey League and the NHL. But primarily the Elite Ice Hockey League. Because we want to try and capitalise on the fact that the game is growing in this country and people might want to watch a podcast about it. So why not? And we might get special guests on. I'd like at some point to do an Icing on the Skate podcast where an EIHL player went on. That would be awesome. That's kind of like on the bucket list for that podcast. But we are definitely doing that next season, as it stands today. So you can look forward to that if you guys are interested in that. If not, then don't worry, don't have to watch it. Does Rick Nash stay in Boston? Okay, I'll just take another sip of this, and then I'll answer that question. So, does Rick Nash stay in Boston? I don't know, is the answer to that. He's definitely not going to be earning the same sort of money he was on his previous contract, or the contract that's just expiring now. I think it was $7 million a year he was earning on that contract, and he hit 40 goals in one season. It's a very good season with the New York Rangers that year. I very much liked Rick Nash that year. I do like Rick Nash in general. I think he's a really good player. He's just kind of changed the way that he's played the game. He's more of a power forward, and he's known that he's had to change the way he plays in order to be an effective player in the NHL. And he's more defensively minded now, and I respect that. Not for $7 million a year, but I respect that for like $3 or $4 million a year, because he can still put up goals. He's still a 20-goal scorer. So, does he resign with Boston? There's been contract talks already. I think Rick Nash is interested in re-signing with Boston. I think the New York Rangers might be another option, dependent on the term and the money offered. I could see him going back to Boston. I guess he needs to know what role he would play in Boston. Does he play the role of bottom six, penalty killer, depth scorer, which is kind of where he's at in the league, or do they try and plug him in at the top six? Because he can still play it in the top six, like, that's no doubt. But do they sign him exclusively to be a member of the top six? Because if they do, I don't think that's the smartest thing to do, in fairness. I don't think that's the right way to go about doing things. I guess it's just a case of what the Bruins want. What do they want his role to be next year? And what are they promising to him his role is next year? Other teams that might be interested, I think the New York Rangers is on that list, only because he said he was interested in... He's always loved playing in New York, and I think he'd be willing to come back and teach the young guys how to play. It's just more sort of contending teams. I think Rick Nash is at the point in his career, he wants to win a championship. Like, his main focus is winning a championship. So, I'm interested to see what happens there. I don't really know where he goes, if not Boston or New York. I'm not really sure what teams are interested. Maybe Edmonton. If he gets a low contract, he could like kind of replace Patrick Maroon essentially. I guess with McDavid, his stats would be... I can imagine him being a player that could play well with Connor McDavid, or Leon Draisaitl for that fact. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Rick Nash signs. I'm very interested because I'll be out in Canada during the draft and the start of free agency, so I'm hoping to see Liam Kirk get drafted, which will be cool. Be keeping an eye out for that. You guys will have to tweet me if that happens and I don't get to it in time, because I'll be 5 hours behind. But it'll be more sort of Canadian time, but I might not be on my phone at the time, so you'll have to tweet me to let me know if not. At OldManRushYT, by the way, follow me. I'm great. Will you be helping out with the Nottingham Lions podcast? Hopefully. Chris has very much said that I'm welcome to go back, because I obviously just I threw on the Odd Man Rush charm while I was there last time, and yeah, I managed to, yeah, because it's very much volunteer based. Chris said the group were happy to have me back, so yeah, I am planning to go back on a few occasions over the season. Just depends how much it costs via trains, I guess. Oh, pardon me. Sorry about that. So, what do you think to the Golden Knights that led to the downfall against the Caps? So what did I... So the Washington Capitals played that 5-game series pretty much perfectly. They played it pretty much to their game plan, and it pretty much worked out all in their favour, except for Game 1, you could argue, which the Vegas Golden Knights won, of course. Yeah, I think the problem was Vegas's success in the playoffs, and I guess you could argue very much in the regular season as well, that part of their game plan was waiting for the opposing team to make a small mistake or a big mistake, and then capitalising on that with a goal or a good chance to then get in the opponent's heads. Like, a lot of their stuff was counter-attack based, where they'd go, we're waiting for this mistake, we're waiting for a mistake to happen, and then straight in, boom, get a goal. That was kind of their strategy, especially in the playoffs. Like, they'd wait for Winnipeg to make a mistake in their own zone, and then, because they're going so heavy in on the forecheck, they'd manage to turn the puck over in Winnipeg's zone, get a shot on goal, it would turn into a goal, it would turn into them winning a game. You know, like, a lot of that happened, but that game plan relies on the other team making mistakes. The Washington Capitals, in that 5-game series, didn't make many mistakes, so they didn't really have anything to go off, to be fair. I think that's why the Vegas Golden Knights didn't win the series. They didn't have any puck luck. They had no puck luck whatsoever in that final series. The puck luck was all on Washington's stick. You have to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good. I think is the saying. I think it's a great saying. I think it's one of the best sports sayings out there. You got to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good. It's usually good to be lucky, but I like to throw on lucky to be good. I think that's just a nice extra. But yeah, I think that's what killed the Vegas Golden Knights this year in the playoffs. Now, I guess another very pressing question for the Vegas Golden Knights is, what do they look like next year? How many players, how many key players on their roster do they retain? I guess the question is, what do I think? Where do I think the Vegas Golden Knights are going to place next year? They've lost that magic of... They've lost that surprise element in their game now, because everybody knows that they've gone to the Stanley Cup Finals. So, they've lost that surprise element of, oh, we're a bunch of players that most teams passed up on. Surprise! We're going to beat you and go to the Stanley Cup Finals. Like, they've lost that element. That doesn't mean they're not still a good hockey team. I think they're still a very good hockey team. I loved their story this year. I was very much a bandwagon fan in the playoffs for them. I'm not going to lie. I wanted the Vegas Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup in some capacity. I kind of wanted both teams to win it. I'm quite glad that Ovi won it, because, Ovi's reaction to winning that Stanley Cup, almost made me tear up. I stayed up to watch that game. It was almost 5 o'clock in the morning in Britain, and I stayed up the whole bloody time to watch that game, and it was wonderful. It was well worth the wait, just to see Ovi just, like, almost bawling his eyes out, because after 11 years in the league, he'd finally done it. Just melts your heart, ladies and gents. You can't hate a player like Ovi. I'm sorry, but, like, I guess you could hate him as, like, the reason you hate Ovi is because he's good. It's because he's one of the best goal scorers in his generation. And I know a lot of people say, oh, but all he does is on the power play, sit in that left face-off circle and fire one-timers. Every team in the league knows he's going to do that, and they still can't stop him. He still scores like 15, 20 goals from that place every year. He does it every year. Everybody knows that's where he's going. And all 30 other teams in the NHL, they know full well where Alexander Ovechkin is, and they still can't stop him. That's what I find absolutely brilliant, and I think that's what proves Alexander Ovechkin is one of the best goal scorers in NHL history. I'm going to go full out in NHL history. If he keeps up the pace that he's been going for these last few years, he could potentially surpass Wayne Gretzky for the most goals in NHL history. I mean, the question is, does he keep up this pace going into his mid to late 30s? I guess we'll find out. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him because it's Alexander Ovechkin and he's a once-in-a-generation kind of player. Or a once-in-a-lifetime kind of player, especially for the Capitals. But he has the potential to break an NHL record set by Wayne Gretzky. Not many players can say that, you know? I think it's quite impressive. And the fact that every team knows he's going to shoot from there and they still can't stop him proves that he's one of the best. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, ladies and gents. I mean, Alexander Ovechkin might get a lot of hate for basically scoring goals from the same place. But he keeps doing it. Even though they know that's what he's going to do, he keeps doing it. So why not? I'm a big fan of Alexander Ovechkin, except when he scores against the Rangers, but it's fine. Andy, I've already answered about Rick Nash. Were you not listening? How rude. Once again, Andy, I think after the stream, go back and watch the whole thing again, just to make sure you get all your stuff sorted. Because you've missed a few bits now. San Jose Sharks, till I die. What do you think about our season this year? The problem is with the teams in California and everything like that, all of the sort of Western teams, because their games don't start till like 3:30 Eastern. No, because they don't start until 3:30 British time, which is like 3 hours after most games do Eastern time in the UK. I never really get the chance to watch them. I always go, okay, can't watch that. And there wasn't really much coverage on the San Jose Sharks this year. I mean, Evander Kane was a nice pickup. I think that was an absolute steal for what you had to give up for him. I don't agree with giving him such a massive contract. Maybe he's found his new ways and he's gonna forget about being a locker room cancer. But I'll believe it when I see it. Essentially, I think Evander Kane, the first sign of controversy, he'll get grumpy and not want to play anymore. He kind of seems like that sort of player. I mean, he was run out of Atlanta / Winnipeg. He was run out of Buffalo. Will he be run out of San Jose? I guess we'll find out. Yeah, the rest of the team, I guess Joe Thornton, does he come back? Does he retire? I don't think he'll retire, but does he come back to San Jose? Does San Jose want him back? I mean, that, of course, I would imagine he's a fan favourite. Well, of course he's a fan favourite. He's a league favourite, but whether it's the right thing to bring him back, I don't know. Because they've got some big contracts to sign with the Ninja Hurtle, who had a very good playoffs, I might add. Yeah, I thought your season was alright. I mean, you swept Anaheim in the playoffs. That was good. I mean, you made the playoffs. Tick that off the checkbox. You swept Anaheim in the first round. Bonus points. Check that off. Then you lost in, what, 5 games to the Vegas Golden Knights? 6 games to the Vegas Golden Knights? Which, I mean, you lost against a team that made it all the way through to the Stanley Cup Finals. So, I mean, I can't really hold that too much against you. I thought the San Jose Sharks kind of had a mediocre season. They had a good season, but it's a very forgettable one, you know? They lost in 5 games, 6 games in the second round of the playoffs. Like, nobody's going to remember that years down the line. So, I mean, it was alright. It was a good season. Wasn't amazing. Wasn't awful. Just kind of mediocre, if I'm honest. I hope that doesn't offend you, but I'm just telling how I feel, to be honest. Just kind of a average season, which is, I would argue, probably one of the worst things you could have, an average season. Nobody remembers things that are average. You remember things that are really good, You remember things that are absolutely awful, but you don't remember things that were all right. Just putting it out there. Finished my drink now, and I kind of miss it. So, we've got about 20 more minutes of the stream. I'll probably finish up at about 9 o'clock British time, so that's 4 o'clock Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific, I think. Elite Ice Hockey League. It's a great name. Great name. Best EIHL team in your opinion? Right now or in general? I'll let you answer that before I carry on. Any predictions for next EIHL? Standout player predictions / signings and how well teams will do. In terms of the league, I think Belfast will be very good. I think Belfast are looking prime. They've added Paul Swindlehurst to their lineup. Yep. I think it's going to be more of the same, to be honest. I think Cardiff will be competing for a title again. I think Belfast will very much be up there. Nottingham and Sheffield, I'm not too sure where they sit next season. Depends who else they bring in. Because, I mean, Cardiff, they've got back most of their players and they've got back Ben Bounds. So they're immediately a contender for top of the league, in my opinion. And Thomas Murdy, who's a solid backup. So they're immediately with... they're immediately right up high in my expectations. And rightly so. They're a solid team. Belfast, I think they've got a solid group of players there. One team, actually, that I think is going to rise up the ranks this year, provided they carry on the momentum from last year, is the Guildford Flames. I'm going to say it now, ladies and gents. The Guildford Flames are my dark horse team for this season. I could see them getting a top 3 place in the league. I genuinely could. Because what they've done is, they've basically re-signed every single player that had a fantastic season for them this year to like 1 or 2 year contracts to add some sustained talent throughout their system. And they've brought in some other players that should be good names for them. Guildford last year were, I think, the best team for bringing in players halfway through the season, and their results were fantastic. I could fully expect the Guildford Flames to have a solid season in the Elite Ice Hockey League. I'm rooting for them to have a top 3 finish. If I had to sort of predict the league table now, there's only 11 teams, of course. RIP Edinburgh. We all knew it was going to happen. I'd go Cardiff at top, Belfast second, Guildford 3. Then I'd probably go Nottingham, Sheffield 4 and 5, Fife at 6. Braehead at 7. Coventry at 8. Dundee at 9. Who else am I missing? MK maybe there at 9 or at 10. And I'm missing one team. Which team is it? It is one of the other teams that I can't remember off the top of my head. There's 4 Scottish teams. No, there isn't. There's now 3 Scottish teams. Which team am I missing out? Because I can't remember. Who is it? So, Cardiff, Belfast, Guildford, Nottingham, Sheffield, Fife, Braehead, Coventry, Milton Keynes, Dundee. I'm missing one. Which one have I missed? I've got 10 teams here. Oh, which one? Oh, that's going to rack my brain until somebody lets me know. Oh, which team have I missed out? Anyway, I'll let somebody tell me which team I missed out. Edinburgh's not in it anymore. Edinburgh has left the Elite Ice Hockey League. So there's only 11 teams in the league next season. They've bowed out because they don't have an ice contract next year. Any other questions? So the best Elite Ice Hockey League team of last year were Cardiff Devils. I think that's an easy answer. Won the league and the playoffs, and they were in the final of the Challenge Cup. Like, easy answer. And they played really well in the Champions Hockey League. Manchester, that's it. Yeah, Manchester I think could do well next year. I think they could build off the success of last year. I don't think Sheffield's looking too good this year, to be fair, at the moment. I think Nottingham's looking all right. I don't think they're looking incredible. I guess we'll have to wait until the season. But those two teams aren't really shocking me, if I'm honest. So, yeah, I guess we'll find out. Any other questions? Got about 15 minutes. I'll answer maybe one or two more questions, then I'll probably finish off with the soppy stuff and just a reminder of what's going on, and then finish up. Heard of the signing for the Brayhead clan. Joe Rumpel just signed as starting netminder for the clan. That's pretty cool. Fair play. I don't really know much about him, to be fair. So, let's see if he works out. It was also announced that the Murrayfield Racers, so you know the ice contract went to the Murrayfield Racers instead of the Edinburgh Capitals. Murrayfield Racers, led by a team of backers, including Tony Hand's brother. I want to say Joe Hand, but I'm not sure that's true. They've been given permission to join the North Ice Hockey League's domestic cup. I essentially think they're wanting to do a trial run to see if everything works out okay. And then they might be in. Oh, it's from the Swift Current Broncos, is he? Ah, okay, that's cool. That's cool. Nice. But yeah, I'm interested to see how the Murrayfield Racers do in that cup if they do really well. I mean, I guess the question is who's going to be part of the team? Is it just going to be? Assume it's going to be loads of local Edinburgh lads then, essentially, or youth players, because they're not going to get in imports to play in a cup, are they? Or they might get some retired players to just come up and play a season or like a couple of games. That'd be interesting. I'm not quite sure about the logistics of that. So yeah, one last question. Anybody got one? Anybody got one? Last call. So I've got one question I want to ask that's not really related to hockey. It's more related to the channel. Do you think Luongo will return to the Florida Panthers? I am expecting Roberto Luongo to retire as a Florida Panther, personally. They very much signed James Reimer to be a solid backup and potential future starter. He hasn't quite proven to be a starter yet, I would argue. Do I see Luongo returning to the Florida Panthers? Yeah, I do. He's a solid goaltender. He's getting older, but unless he retires, I think he's going to retire with the Florida Panthers, personally. So, yeah, that's a good final question. Thank you very much, Elite Ice Hockey League. So I have a question for you guys. Do we have any good graphic designers in the chat right now? Because I've been thinking about getting a new logo and banner and stuff for my channel. I've kind of had this one for quite a while now, and I've just kind of been feeling a change. And I was kind of hoping that somebody would do it for free. I could understand why nobody would want to, but yeah, like, is anybody a good graphic designer? Anybody good at creating logos? Let me know in the chat. I'd be interested to get some sort of logos and stuff sorted out, because I just want a bit of a change, really. I've had this one for like the last year or so. I just kind of feel like, let's mix it up a little bit. Why not? I'm doing it for GCSE. Oh, that's cool, Ben. That's awesome. It's just kind of like, feel free to, if anybody wants to create a logo, even if you're not good at graphic design, if anybody wants to create a logo or a banner for me, I mean, you don't have to, but I'd really like it if you could. Then you can send it to me on Twitter, or on, you can send it to me via message on Twitter, like instant message or private message or whatever it's called. And I'll take a look at it. I mean, I haven't really got hugely high standards, but I'm not, as long as it's like hockey related and is Odd Man Rush. Like I'm just interested to see what people come up with. Really, I kind of want to do it as like a 2,000 sub. Like, it's not like a channel relaunch. It's more like a rebranding almost. So if anybody's interested in creating a logo, then feel free. Can you create a Gmail and put it in chat so I can send you one? I have a Gmail. I'll put my Gmail in the chat now if you want. Or the channel's Gmail. I'm not putting my personal Gmail in there. No. So if you want to send anything via email to me, regarding this, like, I don't want just random emails saying hi. It's like Xbox messages. I don't want to see them. Like, I know it's nice that, oh, it's a YouTuber, or it's a YouTuber that I watch all his videos, and he's really cool. Like, if I'm not doing videos or streaming, I'm doing something else. So don't bother me. If you want me to be perfectly blunt. That should work. I believe that's my email. I'll just double check. Yeah, let's just double check that. Yes, that is my email. Perfect. So yeah, if you want to send me any logo ideas or anything like that, do feel free. That would be cool. I'll credit you, everything like that. Like, I'm not expecting you to just kind of do it and not get any other stuff. Oh, you found my old YouTube. Oh God, that's basically the one that I actually watch loads of YouTube on. I do kind of need to delete the videos off that channel. I've been meaning to for a while. God, those videos are awful. It's like the old videos on this channel. I would honestly, nobody watch the first few, like the first year of videos that I put on this channel, because they're fucking awful. Like, if you think my content is bad now, like, my content's not exactly that amazing now, but if you think it's bad now, like, think about 2 years ago me, like, 19-year-old me. Hi! Watch my videos! So yes, just to finish up the stream, just to remind you guys, or let you guys know if you didn't know, as it says in the title, it's my last stream before Canada. I am going to Canada on Sunday. Yeah, I'm going to Canada on Sunday, and I'm staying there until the 1st of September. So I'm going to be very, very, very busy there. And yeah, I've got it so that I'll have 2 videos a week going up. So you guys will have content. I've put the steps in place to make sure you guys have 2 videos a week to watch, so my channel doesn't completely die. Because I don't want it to die, because I love this channel and I love you guys for watching it. But yeah, so if I'm slow on social media, if I'm slow on responding to comments or messages or anything, it's because I'm out in Canada and we're only allowed to use our phones at certain times in the day, because we're running a summer camp for kids for between 7 to 17-year-olds, I believe. And I'm basically going to go teach them how to act and do drama and stuff, because that's what I got my degree in. You couldn't tell, could you? Oh, I'm an actor! But yeah, so that's essentially what's happening. I'm essentially going to wrap up the stream here in the next few minutes, guys. So if you've got places to go, people to see, then feel free to leave now. You're more than welcome to. Thanks for watching. But yeah, I honestly can't thank you guys enough. I'd love it if we could hit 500,000 views on the channel before Sunday, before I leave. Luckily, well, at the moment, as we stand now, we're on 2,003 subscribers and 497,926 views on the channel at the moment. So we need a couple more thousand in order to reach 500,000. 2 years ago, I never would have imagined that 500,000 people would have watched my shitty videos on YouTube. But that could be a reality within the next few days with your guys' help. So yeah, like, that's incredible. This channel has really surpassed any expectations I had for it. I just made this channel because I wanted to talk about hockey, and I was hoping a few people might listen. I wasn't expecting 2,000 people or 500,000 people to listen. Or, well, 500,000 people to listen and 2,000 people to want to listen constantly. But there you go. I really appreciate what you guys have done for the channel. People have sent money to the channel, they've donated, they've sponsored, they've super chatted, which is all incredible. Like, you guys don't have to do that, but the fact that some of you want to is awesome. Like, I don't really do good with soppy stuff, it's not really me, but thank you so much, guys. Like, it's great. This channel wouldn't be what it is without you guys. I mean, as much as it's like, oh, but it's your videos, like, you guys very much influence what I put on the channel and what I feel is right for the channel, and the fact that you guys have enjoyed the content and quote-unquote the variety of content that I've done over the last year or so, I mean, not so much recently because I've been super busy with finishing my degree. But the fact that I've got people that watch the British hockey video, the British hockey videos, I've got fans of the NHL that watch the channel that are actually starting to become interested in the Elite Ice Hockey League because I cover it and vice versa. Like, the fact that I'm sort of opening avenues for more interest for hockey for people is brilliant. And essentially, the reason I wanted to start this channel, like, back in 2015, was because I wanted to essentially create a community where people like me who love hockey but don't really know many other people that love hockey can talk to other people that like hockey. Like, my friends, they're really not that interested in hockey. I've got some some of my friends are like fans of the NFL. Some of my friends aren't really fans of sports whatsoever. But I've always been a big fan of hockey for like the last 7, 8, maybe 9 years now. And I've never really found anybody that shared that passion for hockey in sort of like my personal local life. So to create this community where other people are just as interested as I am, if not more, some of you maybe, that's great. And it means we can have like actual debates and chats about a sport that I love. So I think that's brilliant. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And the fact that you guys have come back and wanted to voluntarily taken part in this community is really nice. It's really nice to know. You know, it's quite reassuring to know that I'm not just talking to a screen. I'm actually talking to people that actually want to listen. I don't know why you would. Like, you must be crazy, guys. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Like, this channel is great because of you. Like, it wouldn't be anywhere it is today. I wouldn't be sitting here with 2,000 subscribers, which to most channels might be like, 2,000 subscribers. That's shit. Like, oh, I could get that in a night. I'm a channel that covers a sport that isn't big in my home country, and I talk about the league in my home country quite a lot. And I like to think that I'm one of the big advertisers for this league. I want other people to be interested in the Elite Ice Hockey League. I want people to know that it's a thing. And if I can do a little bit towards doing that, whether that's to people across Canada or North America that go, oh, I didn't even realise Britain had a hockey league. Even if it's that, then I'm happy, you know? So yeah, I'm going to end the stream here, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you all in September. Believe me, I'll do loads of streams and stuff to make up for it. Hopefully lots of NHL 19 content as well. So yeah, I'm going to end the stream here, ladies and gents. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I really would appreciate it. Let's work towards 3,000 subscribers now. If you want to become a sponsor to the channel, feel free. We need one more for custom emojis, whilst they kind of won't be useful until I get back to streaming in September. The option's always there. If not, feel free to donate to the channel, super chat, anything like that if you feel like it. If not, don't worry about it. Let people know that you think might be interested in the channel to check it out. That would be awesome. I mean, the best way to sort of grow a channel is word of mouth. If you guys are like, I've started watching a really good channel, I think you should watch it too. If they do that, then they do the same. That's how a channel grows. Word of mouth is a powerful thing, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, thank you so much for everything, guys. Really do appreciate it. I'm gonna miss you guys. I've got to be honest. I'm gonna miss streaming and editing videos for the next 3 months. I'm gonna be very busy. I'm not gonna have much time to think about missing it. But I am gonna miss you guys, and I hope you guys will be there when I get back in September. Hopefully, some of you haven't gone, his channel's dead now. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in September. I'll try and be as active as possible on social media, but if I don't see you until then, I'll see you in September. Thanks for watching, guys. But for now, goodbye. Peace.